today because the Legacy Gen 4 is really not ran in officials by anybody. It's not a car that's really heavily driven. It was more of an accident car when it kind of happened. So to bring this car to this track, it's going to be really exciting to see. Again, you're going to see the people that have put the practice in. They're going to be able to showcase what they've been able to do. And again, driving off the track, getting that 1x of an off-track situation, that's going to invalidate your time. Right now, all these drivers are out on their warm-up lap. This is going to be able to get those tires warm, get those brakes warmed up. Because believe it or not, cold brakes will not stop that car very well. And a track like this with a lot of sharp turns, you're going to need as much braking power as you possibly can get.
You're going to want every little bit of it, as Jake Nichols, he is the driver to beat here, as he won the previous road course we went to at Sonoma. He got the pole, led the most laps, ultimately won the race. And here tonight, trying to do a similar feat. As one thing I do want to bring up as we're about to be starting lap 1 for Nichols here, and that's the weather. Main reason why drivers were testing out a variety of different weather conditions, and here's the reason why. Track temp 120 degrees here for qualifying. Air temperature going to be at 74 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind fluctuating just under 10 miles per hour. Humidity, not too crazy, but it is that track temperature as it just peaks up to 121. It's gonna climb throughout this race. The question is, how hot will it get by the end?
Yeah, it's a really, really extremely hot surface. And what that's going to do is it's going to deteriorate those tires a lot quicker than what these drivers would normally expect. A cooler track is going to be a little bit easier on the tires, but once those tires heat up, they lose a lot of grip. They get greasy, they get slick, they tend to slip and slide all over the place. So it's really hard to control the car once those tires warm up. So I think the drivers that are going to be able to kind of manage the tire warmth over tire wear is the ones that are going to be able to, we're going to see control this car a little bit better and not really slip and slide or spin out.
As the drivers get around this course, the last couple of bends, this is the middle section. The S's, drivers can make or break a lot of time here. You're really trying to build up speed before you see Jake Nichols thunder his way down into what we call the stadium section. It's actually inside of a stadium. You can see the grandstands, a few fans out there where you head through the hard braking zone. It's one of the slowest portions of the track, so those in the stands get to see these cars perfectly before you exit out of the final corner in the long straightaway, the front stretch, where you're trying to make sure you cross the line. And for Jake Nichols, his lap he has to find to beat would be a 1 minute 31.9, but he comes to a halt. Doesn't feel like that's the lap he wants, and he'll back out of it, and Vincent Sora holds the pole position for now.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. I guess he might have got a 1x or just didn't feel the speed. So what he'll do is he'll park it, he'll reset the car and go out for another attempt that'll allow him to get the rest, basically reset that lap. Not for time, but allow him to get those tires and brakes warm back up to try and make that second lap his fast time. So interesting strategy for him to see. Is one thing you can do here on the iRacing service. Unlike real racing, you can't just stop the car and reset the car instantly to the pit road. So, but that's what we saw Jake Nichols do. But we're riding around here with the number 8 of Brian McCann as he's going through the stadium section right now, trying to put down his fastest lap as he turns the last turn back out onto the front stretch. We'll have to see what Brian McCann can put down. But currently, Vincent Sora still sitting at the top of the board. On pole, Brian McCann over the curves, down the front stretch, through the grid, across the line, and that'll be Brian McCann putting down a time of a 1:34.847. Not quite good enough for the top 5, but still got one more lap to attempt.
Yeah, we'll see how this 8 machine kind of gets a little bit faster here for lap number 2, as a lot of drivers are finding, the first lap you could find your quick speed. Some drivers should opt for the second lap. Sometimes I feel like they need a little bit more heat in their tires to maximize their speed. But Brian McCann, winner of last week at Indianapolis Indy, we got 4 cautions in total, and Brian McCann was the best driver, hands down. He led 41 laps of the 100 laps that were ran, and had a fantastic rundown to catch up to Vincent Sora in the final 10 laps of the race, ultimately making the pass and winning out by almost a second over Vincent Sora. Jake Nichols came away third that race, and it was a lot of coming down to strategy, timings of the yellows, and tire strategies that ultimately gave the win to the 8 machine last week. And I'm curious, when we go to the more traditional ovals, with us transferring to this Legacy Gen 4 ARCA car, what are these drivers going to feel, and how is the racing going to evolve? as tonight, kind of a wild card throw in, brand new track, a very flat track, brand new car. A lot of factors that were going to be more so handed to the drivers that put more practice in, which I think that's what we're seeing right now. Top of the board, drivers that really put practice in that. I saw Vincent Sora putting in time after last week's race. Zach Hall as well was putting in some practice time. Jarrett Talmadge, he's been finding some sneaky speed, and Brian McCann, he finds his speed, now up to 4th place with a 133.2.
Fantastic work from Brian McCann, able to get his car up there to the 4th position. I was riding around here with Gavin Rogers, and I was speaking to him earlier before the broadcast went live, and he said he was really excited for this race, put a lot of practice in, he was feeling good. Then he showed up and saw the times other people were putting down, and he just he needed to figure something else out. You know, Gavin, he's definitely one of those drivers that can figure it out on the fly. I feel like he can. But he was definitely not feeling very good before the race started. So we'll have to see what Gavin can do here. Currently on the track for his first lap. Actually, I do believe this is his second lap. But yeah, he's coming around, trying to get the fastest time down. If anybody could do it, Gavin is one of those drivers that could.
Well, Jake Nichols says, I will take that pole for myself with a 1 minute 31.718 for the Dominator so far this season. And Gavin Rogers, can he be the final threat to steal it away? Everyone else has finished up on their times. Ryan Kelly could be one of the final drivers out there to put down a time for himself, but Gavin Rogers on the front stretch. His first lap got invalidated. His second lap, will it count? It's not fast enough for the pole, but it's good enough for a top 5, a 1 minute 32.527, just ahead of Zach Hall into 4th place. And some of the final drivers that are out on track that can put in a time was Ryan Kelly. He looks to not be going for a lap time. Zach Hall, he has ran out of time. Vincent Sora sits in pit road, but he does not have enough time to get out there on track to do a full lap and then start his time. So Jake Nichols, once again, like we said, I felt like at Sonoma, I mean, he kind of proved it. He was going to be a threat at the road course. He proves it once again. Race 10 of the season, pole number 6. Given to the 73. Richard, that is a crazy stat to say before we've even gotten to the playoffs.
Yeah, Jake Nichols has been impressive all season this season. He's came in and he has just dominated from lap 1 all the way to even just now. His wins, his poles, he is just a driver that is extremely hard to beat for anybody else in the field. And everybody's got to really step up their game if they want to get up there and challenge him for any chance to win a race.
Well, as Vincent Sora and the rest of the crew waits for qualifying to come to an end, we want to say thank you to the amazing sponsors that have tagged on for Season 12 of the WSSR. First and foremost, want to say thank you to the title sponsor of Elwood Designs. Elwood Designs has been around since 2012, trying to help out the iRacing community and making the best schemes possible out on the service. And now they're trying to help you have the ability to build out your own racing liveries. You can do so at going into Facebook and checking out Elwood Designs, on X or Twitter, Elwood Designs, and at simrapmarket.com. You go check out Alan Elwood and see all the designs that are baseline designs that you can create off of and make whatever you're imagining. We also want to say thank you to our qualifying sponsor, which is going to be Lucky Duck Motorsports. Lucky Duck Motorsports has been a great team that has joined on board with the WSSR crew. They've got 2 full teams out on track, having drivers. They've got the opportunities to win money as well as support great causes as they're based off their results, and helps drivers in the long term to build iRacing connections as well as raise money for great causes. You'll see all the great charities with Tiltify as well out on track from Lucky Duck Motorsports. You can find out more information from Lucky Duck Motorsports on X/Twitter at We Are Lucky Ducks, and on Instagram, Lucky Duck Motorsports. Thank you so much for being our qualifying sponsor today. As practice and qualifying is done. We're going to have a 5-minute warm-up period to let us take a deeper look and deep dive into how this season has been so far. Starting things off with taking a look at the point standings. I think with no surprise, the driver with 5 wins is top of the board. That's Jake Nichols. Behind him, though, is Vincent Sora. And just based off of raw consistency, he's in second with no wins. John Force will be in third with Brian McCann, newest winner, going to be in fourth. But we have to fall all the way down to that cutoff line. Matt Muir going to be in 16th place. But Muir, not seeing him out on track. This is the time for Chris Stitz. Just by showing up here today, could be finding himself with some big points. And he is out there on track. That's going to be good for him. Jan Van Leer, he's also shown up today. Ben Keeney, this is a great help for them with seeing drivers miss out. They've got some big points to grab and catch up to that cut line.
Yeah, when you're around the cut line and you see like the drivers that you have to finish in front of each and every week, and then they don't show up to a race like this, it's like, yeah, you might not have the greatest race yourself, but that driver is getting 0 points. That will let you either catch them or pass them in the points and get you into that cut line area to try and move on into the playoffs. So for Chris Stitz, this is definitely a day that he is glad to see, as he showed up and Matt Muir did not.
Oh, a couple of other drivers that were inside that didn't show up. Shane Terrian's not here, and a few others to watch out for. As let's take a closer look at how the season's been so far. Again, this is race 10 of the schedule. We've got a couple of more races before the regular season is over, as we've got here tonight at the Autodrome Hermanos Rodriguez, otherwise known as Mexico City Grand Prix, that we have here for race 10. Then we go to Rockingham and Talladega to finish out the regular season. Before we get to the chase, where this is where I'm most excited. 6 races, 6 traditional racetracks that you usually see on the schedule, and really it's going to be the best of best showing up in those final 6 races.
Yeah, those final 6 races are going to be amazing. We're going to have the best 16 drivers in the field duking it out, trying to go for the championship. And it's a fantastic grouping of tracks to test out each and every single one of their driving capabilities. I mean, you have New Hampshire, completely flat track. Auto Club, a fan favorite 2-mile track. Texas, your cookie cutter. Charlotte, another cookie cutter, but it's the Legacy Charlotte, which is going to be even more fun. North Wilkesboro with the short track, and of course Homestead, Miami to finish it off like we always should.
Honestly, it feels just right going back to Homestead as the last race. Certainly is going to be a good one. You don't want to miss out on it, especially here at WSSR. It always gives the best finishes that you could ask for. As drivers are finishing up their warm-ups, they've got less than 2 minutes to go, which is our time to have our pick'ems. Who are drivers that we have either storyline picks, those we think that are just going to ultimately win. And this week, let's go with who we think's going to win. And I'm going to go with the obvious one. We made these picks during practice, and I went with Jake Nichols. I mean, there's no real other thing besides you look at the stats. He's the guy. He's going to try to become, again, continuing on his streak. Same for Vincent Sora on finishing in the top 10 every race this season. Let's see if tonight he's grabbed pole number 6. Can win number 6 be on the line for the 73? Richard, who's your driver to watch out for here tonight?
Yeah, Sam, I feel like yours is a very obvious pick for, the stats and based on what we've seen all season, but I'm going to go with Vincent Sora. I mean, he's still, again, one of the fastest, best of the rest cars out there. I mean, he has challenged Jake Nichols quite a few times. He's almost been at the moment to be able to get the pass for the win, but he's right there. He's just got to search for that extra little bit to get around Jake Nichols, but I'm going to have to go with Vincent Sora tonight.
And finally, our third member of our crew that helps this thing move, it's going to be Robert Moyer Jr., and he'll be picking Brian McCann as his driver here this evening. The 8 machine going to be starting in the top 5. We'll see if his luck from last week at Indy can maybe rub off here at Mexico City. As we are finishing up warm-ups, again, thank you for joining with us. You are watching the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs for Race 10 of Season 12, Mexico City Grand Prix, otherwise known as the Autodrome Hermanos Rodriguez course. Here tonight, this track certainly is a unique one. A very flat 15 corner course that is going to be a lot of heavy braking zones. And a lot of drivers are saying, watch out for this first corner. It could be dangerous. It could be hectic. It could be drivers running over one another. And then as well, once we get past turns 1, 2, 3, turn 4 is another dangerous zone of another hard braking spot. So there's a couple of early sections where drivers can get in trouble. But for this evening, just a small number. This field is quite small here tonight, but still we're expecting some great action. 16 drivers on the line here this evening for 40 laps. And let's take a look at your Lucky Duck Motorsports starting grid. Up front, for his 6th time this season, Jake Nichols taking the pole award. To his outside, Vincent Sora will be second, looking for his first win this season. Going to be here at Mexico City. Well, let's find out. Row number 2, we find in third, Jarrett Talmadge, who's been sneakily quick all season long. Can he find that little bit of extraness here this evening? And to his outside, Gavin Rogers. We've seen him be very good at road courses. Came in with a lot of confidence. We'll see if that confidence holds up here starting in 4th. Zach Hall going to be in 5th place. Last week's winner, Brian McCann, going to be in 6th. 7th is Larry Yingling with Chris Ditz in 8th. Finishing out our top 10, it's going to be the 7 of John Forbes Jr. and Ryan Kelly going to be in that 10th place position.
Starting back in the 11th position will be the number 13 machine of Cedric Hunter and his pink Hello Kitty machine, as we always see, with Ollie Fonseca in the 24 to his outside. Thomas Green, the 31 machine, will be starting just behind Cedric Hunter in 13th position. And Jan Van Leer will be starting back in the 14th, who will be receiving a drive-through for penalty from last week. Douglas Newbigging starting back in the 15th position, with Ben Keeney rounding out the field in 16th place.
With your 16 drivers here tonight. Yeah, a little bit more information on that Jan Van Leer penalty. Actually, at the start of the week, was penalized, was going to be given an L2. One of those penalties was revoked. The one that will stand is the end-of-the-line penalty L1. That was because of causing 3 cautions in consecutive races. So that is not something that you want to see as a driver. But for the 10, luckily with this small of a field, you're not going to be losing too much time, as the 10 was going to be starting in 14th position. So that's just a few spots, and we'll see how he can gain those positions back as we wait to get rolling. Richard, 40 laps in total, no stage break, no fast repairs, 4 extra sets of tires in pit road. You got 15 incident points to work with, and then I was told drivers are expecting a 1-stop, but might go for the 2-stop if tires are too bad. What do you think some of these drivers are feeling as we're getting rolling here for our pace lap before we get to racing action?
Yeah, and again, I don't know what the tire wear is going to look like on these cars here at this track. So I think that's the biggest thing of, that's where the practice came into key. This is where you're going to be like, yeah, we can 2-stint on the tires and only have to worry about 1 or 2 pit stops. Or, the tires wear out a lot and they don't feel like they can control the car. So it's a lot of just, especially getting through these first sets of turns, turn 1, 2, and 3, that is going to be a detrimental turn for a lot of these drivers. If you don't slow down enough, you're going to get punted out into that grass. You got to watch out for these tire barriers also. Unlike real life, they don't move. They are a solid piece of wall, and that can completely ruin your race if you get a hold of one of those.
Also, another thing to watch out for, the turtles, the rumble strips. I was hearing some drivers talk about the fact of if their force feedback was too high, it felt like their whole entire racing rig was wanting to fall apart because of how much it was shaking. And to maximize your speed, you have to go over those rumble strips, avoid the yellow turtle, but you're trying to just cut the corners as close as you can. That means you got to be risking your racing rig as well as your hands and wrists if you make a mistake.
Yeah, from the sounds of it, these rumble strips, these turtles, they're very violent here at Mexico City. So, if they feel like their rig is about to fall apart, I could only imagine what that feels like, especially in the steering wheel for force feedback. That's got to be pretty tiring as well for some of these drivers. So, but at the same time, you need to do that if you want to gain that 10th of a second to try to catch the guy in front of you, or even to get up there and challenge Jake Nichols. So it's one of those things where you don't really want to do it, but if you want to try and go for a win or even a top 3, it's something you might have to try.
And this is going to be the exit out of turn number 10, a very open sweeping area. You're going to see a lot of drivers take that very wide. Where our camera's set, you're going to see drivers all the way out there, I think, at moments in time before you go shooting down to turn number 11 that these drivers are rolling to right into the stadium. I want to say thank you to everyone that's watching with us. If you're able to, let's say hello in the chat. Who are you rooting for? We already have one person out there, and that is going to be Suiting Rex, otherwise known as Christopher Norris, rooting for Zach, saying Zach better win. Hey, I know Zach would love to get a win, as he's had a lot of confidence with switching to a new car. We'll see if this is going to be the night for maybe Zach. Could it be Vincent Sora? Or will Jake Nichols continue on his winning ways? Welcome to Mexico City's Grand Prix. Welcome to race 10 of the season. And it's time to go green flag racing here, road course style. Thank you for joining with us as you're watching the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. Green flag is out. Jake Nichols, Vincent Sora take us down the straight away. As they rumble their way into turn number 1, they're going to stay dead even, drag racing their way down into the straight to the turn number 1. 1, 2, 3, and they're already scattering 3 wide. Heartbreaking zone as it's going to be Jake Nichols going to be taking the early approach to the inside. Vincent Sora trying to stay on track. Does not want to go too far to the outside. They stay on track. No one through the grass, but it's Nichols with the lead as he pulls away.
That is an impressive first run through turns 1, 2, and 3. Everyone stayed out of the grass, out of the barriers, and out of each other's doors. But Jake Nichols in command of the lead now, able to get around Vincent Sora as smooth as possible. And now this could be off to the races for Jake Nichols, but Vincent Sora is still right there in his shadow, waiting and just trying to stay in contention with him for the time being. And these drivers doing a great job navigating through these really difficult technical turns.
Now out the exit to turn number 10, you can see most of the field already trying to single file out as quickly as possible, as these rumble strips are going to be tough. But as you head to the stadium section, this is where you have to be in line. There's an opportunity to make a pass here at turn number 11, but then you're kind of just following each other through the sweeping chicane before you get off the exit of the final corner here at turn 15. And turn 15 is where you really need to hit your marks. You can accelerate so well and have an opportunity to make a pass into turn number 1. But for Jake Nichols, lap 1 led, and he's already almost up to a full second lead after just 1 lap.
Full second lead for Jake Nichols, doing a great job navigating through this track. But Vincent Sora, he's still in the sights of Vincent. He's doing everything he can, but this is still only lap number 2 as they go through this 1, 2, 3 little kink here. So, but these drivers, impressive work by everyone so far. Nobody's really made any major mistakes. Gavin Rogers trying to make a move here on Zach Hall. Zach Hall looks like he got a little bit of a wiggle there, which allowed Gavin Rogers to get a run. He's going to get around and stay into the 4th place position.
Gavin Rogers, though, misses the braking zone and right into the grass. And some would like to call that a commentator curse, maybe a camera curse. He was on broadcast and the mistake was made. And that is the worst thing that could have happened to Gavin Rogers. I mean, Richard, we know he has mentally not really been feeling the most confident this season. He thought switching this car was going to be better, but it is just a falling apart snowball to start to this race.
Yeah, and that's definitely a commentator curse for me and my good buddy Gavin Rogers. He's gonna, go back and watch us and probably have a word with me afterwards. So, but unfortunate to see, just misses his braking zone. We got right here, right along 31 of Thomas Green. He's looking to the left of Ali Fonseca as they come around into the stadium section of turns. Green is going to get around him, but Fonseca looking to make his move on the left side of him. He's going to have a little bit of a run. I think he tagged the wall there.
The wall just slightly, and they make contact as well as they go through turns 14 and 15 off the exit. It's going to be a dogfight between those two, but Chris Stitz, if he was able to get a good run, might have had an opportunity to get by both drivers. The 17 will just march his way, trying to get to the inside quarter panel of Ali Fonseca, but doesn't have the speed. He'll get back in line as Fonseca poking the nose, trying to block and defend the 17's move, and it's Stitz still willing to attempt to go to the inside, but has to back off from that attempt. Fonseca, though, a very late diving move by the 24. He almost had a chance there on Thomas Green. Over Green gets settled in for now as they head to turn 4. Another heartbreaking zone, but Honestly, this racing has been amazing to watch. Only a couple of mistakes here and there, but everyone's staying on track, which is a huge positive that everyone was concerned about.
Oh, as you see right there is Ollie Fonseca got a little bit of a hip check from Thomas Green as they're going through 4 and 5 here. These two are racing for every inch on the track. This is fantastic work, especially from Ollie Fonseca. He has been challenging Thomas Green almost every single turn, and Green almost catches the tire barriers there, but able to get by him clean. Just had to swing out a little bit farther, but Ollie Fonseca got a decent run, going to look to the inside, not quite there to make a move.
Well, you already caught me to curse someone. I'll attempt my go here, not wanting to do it, but Ollie Fonseca, very underrated road course racer, as he is still fighting to try to get by Thomas Green as everyone comes to a halt as the 31 has a bad turn there in the stadium section as Fonseca wheeling his way off the exit turn 14 and 15. But the 24 is very much an underrated road course racer. At times, maybe mistakes can happen here and there, but a top 10 is almost always there for Fonseca if he can just find his marks. But here tonight is going to be a handful all evening long. 4 laps in, and it's the back half of the field that's been giving us a great show to watch, with everyone wheeling it and just trying not to run each other over, which is the big thing you do not want to do.
Yeah, you don't want to run another driver over, because I mean, that can cause you some penalty points and potential penalty next race. So doing everything you can to be respectful, but also, like I said, Thomas Green and Ollie Fonseca were doing fantastic racing there. It was great to watch them hip checking each other, kind of getting to each other's door, but racing side by side as Chris Stitz locks up a little bit there, and it looks like the number 3 is out into the grass as well.
That's Ryan Kelly in the 3 machine, going a little bit wide here tonight. Kelly, not always finding luck at the road courses. He's much better at the ovals, and the 3 gonna falter all the way back to 15th place. Gonna be second last of the drivers. Driver that's right in last place, Ben Kinney, just he was not able to really find that comfortability for the 98. He was trying to learn this track as fast as he could. He's been getting slowly faster and faster, but you can see here, he's very much more in the mindset of, hey, so hopefully someone wrecks out in front of me and I'll take that spot. I'm just going to finish this race. And honestly, that mentality, it works for a lot of guys to get some decent points at a road course.
Yeah, that's not a terrible strategy sometimes. You know, if it's a track you know you're not very good at, you do tend to get used to it and speed up a little bit, but we don't have stage cautions. The pack isn't really brought back together again. So at that point, you're pretty much, like you said, just waiting for either a phenomenal pit strategy that kind of catapults you forward, or, you know, someone just making a mistake and wrecking out and not being able to get back out on track. And that's kind of, that looks or seems to be Ben Keeney's situation right now, as he is almost 15 seconds behind Ryan Kelly.
Up and on board with the 7 of John Forbes, currently in 5th place, watching Zach Hall ahead of him. And John Forbes, a driver who's had a total of 10 starts at road courses. I was looking at all the drivers that we're going to race here tonight, and Zach Hall has the most starts in road courses in the WSSR Cup Series with a total of 19 starts. John Forbes with 10. And of those 10 starts, his average running position is around 8th place. And with such a small field, 6th position isn't too bad for the 7 machine, as he's actually running some pretty decent lap times close to Hall. And, you know, if Hall makes a mistake, if Jared ahead of him keeps on burning their tires, hey, there's an opportunity to gain some spots, because like Suiting Rex in chat is kind of talking about, burning your tires, maybe letting a driver go or trying to force them to overcook their stuff could be a major advantage here this evening.
Yeah, it could be an extreme major advantage. Again, you know, just kind of maintaining your resource of the tire wear, that can really help you out in longer runs. You know, like you were saying, it just depends on how many pit stops. If you want to pit for just fuel, which cuts down how many pit stops you need to take, or if tires are going to be that big of a deal. So kind of maintaining your tire resource, make sure they don't get worn out, allowing you to catch up little by little each and every lap. That can definitely benefit you in the long run.
As seeing Jake Nichols in that purple machine still leading the way. The gap is now up to a 1.5 seconds on Vincent Sora, and both drivers similar best lap of the race, a 1 minute 32.1 second for both of them. A little bit of advantage to Jake Nichols, and looking at their current times, just Jake looks to be a little bit more consistent overall. Here's the battle going on for 6th place. Brian McCann and Gavin Rogers currently, as I misspoke before, of the battle for Zach Hall and John Forza for 4th place. As you're seeing them slowly trying to close in the gap. Gavin Rogers running a 1 minute 33.0 second lap time. That's one of the faster laps of those that are in our top 7. The top 2 are running faster than the one machine.
Top 2 running faster than one machine. Gavin Rogers has not found what he needs to find here at this track. He's man, it's a bummer to see, because I mean, Gavin Rogers came in, a few seasons ago in the next gen car and just completely dominated the road course racing here, which we kind of expected, even though they kind of figured him out and was able to challenge him a lot more in the later cars. But it just seems like this Gen 4 car has just been a thorn in Gavin's side. He has not been able to figure it out and find the speed that he wants to have.
No, he has not really found it at all. One driver that just wants to finish a race without caught up in a wreck. That's the 13 of Cedric Hunter. I was hanging out with the Category 5 drivers. We worked with broadcast last week at Indianapolis, and the whole entire narrative around Cedric this season is, I just want to finish a race. He's felt like he's had some good top 10 pace, at sometimes top 5 pace, but he's always caught up in a wreck or caught up in someone else's issue. Currently running in 13th for the 13, so those numbers aren't aligning great, but hey, the 2 drivers that you need to get by to be just outside of the top 10 are right there giving a great battle. That's Stitz as well as New Bigging that go side by side as they are trying to set up here through the S's before they head to the stadium section. Is Douglas New Bigging taking a different approach, and the 13 is Cedric Hunter staying low and almost had a chance to go for a 3-wide pass.
Cedric Hunter is right there ready to pounce, as New Bigging had a major mistake there, but they are side by side with Stitz as Hunter goes a little high there as he was out outside of that turn, but he's looking below the inside of Chris Stitz. He's going to get the pass done on Stitz, and now his sights are set on Douglas New Bigging. The question is how many turns is it going to take Hunter to get around Douglas New Bigging? He's going to have the toe down this long front stretch into turn 1, so he's going to be able to get the draft that might be able to help build some speed up and make that pass to the inside going into turn 1. But we'll have to see how much speed this draft actually gives him down this really long stretch.
And that's the type of battling you kind of need to watch out for, is if your competition is just not thinking about the other drivers behind them, they can make ultimate mistakes that can cost you time, as it did for Stitz there. Saw an opportunity to go for a pass, and it wasn't there for him to go for it. As the drivers continue to fight on, Cedric Hunter going for an inside pass for the Hello Kitty machine, as he's got an opportunity here to into turn number 4, as he will already make the pass. New Bigging not even go to contest that. And also the 3 of Ryan Kelly, redemption on turn 4. He'll take the pass on Stitz.
Ryan Kelly moving his way back forward, but Cedric Hunter was able to get the pass done, had the momentum. Douglas New Bigging got a little squirrely through that section of turns, which allowed Cedric to have the momentum. So Cedric gets around the 77 machine, and now his sights are going to be set on Thomas Green, but he is still 2 seconds back from that. He has got to make up some time to catch up to the 31.
As the field continues to roll on, 8 laps in of 40, and it can be over in a blink of an eye. This race, each lap, 1 minute and 33 seconds, so maybe a little bit more than that for most. And it is honestly going to be a race where drivers are going to be thinking about that one pit stop. Fuel number I was given was around 25 laps that could go on fuel. So we know it's at least a one stop for the fuel taking portion. There's always the question of tires and how big of a fall off was there. And looking at the fall off right now, I mean, 9 laps in, I'm not saying a crazy one that would maybe make drivers think about going for a 2-stop. This looks to be an absolute one-stop window for the field. Now it comes down to how do you perfect a pit stop, and like you noted on before, Richard, are you taking tires or are you not?
Yeah, and I think a lot of the drivers, what they'll look at is, what sides of the tires, or which side the tires wore out more, the left or the right. Because, I mean, when you go to pit, you're going to be filling up the tank pretty much all the way. So it's potential some of these drivers might take 2 tires. They'll take the 2 tires that wore out the most. So it's going to be interesting to see who decides to take 2 tires, or if they just take fuel only. It's not going to be any time difference really between the two. So you might as well take some tires and get some fresh rubbers where the wear is happening the most.
As as the field continues to race on. We've been right on board with the three machine Ryan Kelly, but I kind of want to move up ahead of these guys to the battling going on for 8th place. Ollie Fonseca attempting to go for a pass on Larry Yingling, and he's been trying to set this one up for multiple laps, and it looks like he finally found the opportunity to go for the passes in the stadium section. Yingling trying to keep it side by side for an attempt. Not going to be the case in Thomas Green, who over the radio, Ollie and Thomas Green have been bickering here and there against one another. I don't think this 31 wants to let the 24 go on too far by. I think the rivalry is going to be to watch out tonight. Besides the race for the win, it's going to be between Thomas Green and Ollie Fonseca on who's going to win this duel here in Mexico City.
Yeah, Thomas Green and Ollie Fonseca, it has been exciting to watch these past couple of laps, but Ollie Fonseca's got a huge gap now to Thomas Green. I mean, Ollie was behind Green and Larry at one point and got around both of them, so Thomas Green has got to get the ground underneath him moving and catch up to Ollie, because Ollie is almost ready to check out as Green gets a little wiggle there, trying to get as most out of the car into those tires as he can, getting off that turn.
You gotta be careful not to cook these tires just too much. Also, as we've been talking about this great battle, the battle for the lead has shrunk in half. It is now down to 0.7 seconds. Vincent Sora has found something, or Jake Nichols has lost it, as the 73 and the 15 in the stadium section are right on top of one another. They're also closing in on Ben Kinney, who's gonna be the first lap car to go a lap down. We'll see if the 98 is going to get out of the way, and it looks like he will. Heading into pit road is going to be King. It's going to be down to our leaders, down less than 7/10. The better exit will go to Sora as he's chipping away at this lead. What a job by the 15. Now, he hasn't made the pass yet, but this is already incredible. The fact that he went from being down by a second and a half to cutting it in half.
Yeah, he has definitely cut that time down a lot. It could have been just small mistakes from Jake Nichols, but I mean, Vincent Storr is still doing an amazing job. Jake Nichols' times have really fallen off also quite a bit. So Vincent Storr is doing a really good job. He's also utilizing that draft heavily. That is another reason why he's been able to kind of keep up with him as well. That draft has been helping him out a decent amount, as he is pretty much right on the bumper of Jake Nichols through this little horseshoe turn here. But this is turning out to be a fantastic race between the top two.
And for Vincent Sora, I mean, those early races where we saw the dominance emerge immediately, that Jake Nichols was the driver to watch out for. We had one of the interviews after the race where we asked Vincent Sora, what did he need to win? And he said, maybe a perfect race is exactly what I need to go into victory lane and beat this 73. Well, right now, he is setting up perfectly to try to get by, as he is ran down Nichols and is looking for an opportunity. And there's only a handful of spots, unless Nichols really throws this away. But it's going to be on these long straightaways on the front stretch. The difference between 3 and 4, those are your two main spots you're looking for. And here we go, first to 10. It's now less than 4/10 between Vincent Sora and Nichols. Is this the run that Vinny needs? Looking at the pace in the run down, it just doesn't look like he's close enough at this moment, but hard braking zone, there's a chance if you want to risk it if you're Vincent Sora, but I'd imagine he's going to hold back, and he will. Getting in line with the 73, not going for the pass just yet. Let's settle in and make the pass later on.
Yeah, I think the best thing Vincent Sora could possibly do is use pit strategy to his benefit here. If he could save at least one more lap of fuel, what he could, if depending on what their fuel strategy is, one thing that he could do is save a little bit of fuel, being behind Jake Nichols, you know, letting up, doing the lifting off the gas, letting it coast a little bit, short shifting, things like that, but still maintaining this gap. What he can do if Jake Nichols has to pit before him, then he can go all out and put his burner laps down, which will allow him to get that gap closed, if not the pass done on pit road strategy. That is a thing that he could do, because you can catch a car all day on a road course. The hardest part, passing, trying to find that right line and getting the right timing down to get around the car in front of you.
As Jake Nichols as well, Vincent Sora into the stadium section. Seeing the bob and weave. How do you set up for this final corner and maximize your speed? You can see drivers just trying to drive around the rumble strips at times, as drivers, the majority of this track, you actually can go off and will not get an incident point, which is kind of shocking when looking at practice and the way that drivers were attempting to find some speed. as well as a way to find speed. Cooling off the track, you can see the track has just gotten dimmed down with the cloud coverage, but it was already cooling off before then. During qualifying, it was at 121 Fahrenheit for the track temp. It's now down to 107. I would imagine for a lot of drivers, they're happy to see the cooler track, but it's still a rough surface you're working with, flat, warm, and you're attempting with these vehicles to get around this course. The field continues to race on. There's now two battles that have really emerged. It's the battle for the lead between Vincent Sora and Jake Nichols that we were watching, as well as battling happening between Ali Fonseca, Thomas Green, and also John Force and Brian McCann, as they've been some closer actions going on course, as McCann trying to find a way to get by John Forbes in the 7 machine, as Forbes was trying to keep it close with Zach Hall, but on his way just flirting backwards and not really finding that comfortable zone overall. But this certainly has gotten to a position where they continue to race on, searching for speed. And Richard, this is a time in the race where I feel like a lot of drivers now have gotten to their comfortable zone. You've gotten into your rhythm. What are you really searching for with your competition in front of you? If you've gotten this close, how do you force the issue to make a driver make a mistake, or are you just sitting and wait for the rest of this run?
I mean, this is where it's a driver decision at this point. I mean, you could be happy with the position you're in and just keep in your rhythm, keep your pace going. Or, I mean, the only way you can really make another driver make a mistake is get up close to them and then just, like, not necessarily make a move, but fake making a move. Like, make yourself look like you're going to go low on them and make them overdrive or miss their braking zone. Things like that is what can really make a driver mess up. But if you're a driver that's looking to still try and move forward, I mean, you might be in your comfort zone right now, but you have got to take some chances if you're willing to do so and find that extra speed that you might be missing, because obviously, I mean, with drivers like Vincent Sora, Jake Nichols up there, like, just dominate, like, just huge lap times and differences, there's definitely time that you're missing on the track. You just got to find it and see what they're doing and try to find it yourself and get that move forward.
As you see the gold, Jared Talmadge kind of racing on his own. Not really a lot of action going on with himself as he runs in 3rd place. I think this is a good place to be for some drivers. No man's land. For some, this is their very comfortable spot to be in. I know Zach Hall trying to close in about a second, 1.2 seconds back, but Talmadge, he's feeling all right at this moment in time. As Gavin Rogers, you can see the rear end just kicking out when these drivers are hard on the brakes, downshifting to get in the right gear to get around this corners, and just searching for how to get off the exit as quickly as you can and as smoothly as you can without giving up speed. As Brian McCann continues on his way of defending for each and every position. We also want to say thank you to some more sponsors as this race progresses on 15 laps in. We want to say thank you to GTR Simulators. GTR Simulators is your one place to go if you're trying to find simulators that are racing rigs, I should say, that are compact as well as stationary. Compact racing rigs are those that can fold up and be placed somewhere else in your house, or you can find stationary rigs that can help you feel like you're racing like the pros. Head on over to gtrsimulators.com and remember to use the promo code WSSR at checkout for 10% off on purchases of $100 or more. Remember, that's gtrsimulators.com. Don't miss out on your chance to upgrade your rig and race like the pros. As watching on track, one driver that is faltering backwards, Larry Yingling, one of our bigger losers on pace. He's down 4 spots and could be at risk of losing another position, as he currently is all the way back in 11th place. And this is a tough position. Watching drivers, Richard, is when you qualify well, but then you lose all that ground as the race goes on.
Yeah, that is definitely a heartbreaker when you qualify really well. But I mean, that's road course racing for you, though. Because I mean, ovals, everyone is pretty close on time. You have the draft to really help out, but everyone is on a different skill level when it comes to road course racing. So what you might think might be a extremely good qualifying position, I mean, as long as you don't lose to the guys behind you, I mean, the guys in front of you are just the competition. You've got to learn to, figure out where you need to get fast. The downside is if you do make that mistake and you lose so much ground and you get passed by 2, 3, 4 guys, now you've got to make up that ground again, but also you have to make the passes around those guys that you qualified faster than.
As watching racing action, everyone just waiting for pit road to call, expecting a lot of drivers at lap 20 to 22 to make their pit stops. A few might take their fuel all the way to the end around lap 25, and we'll see who else wants to join in that. As do want to say thank you to chat, everyone that's out there. Appreciate everyone that has joined with us this evening, as we've had been having suited wrecks out there on track. We also out there in chat. We also want to say thank you to Rev, Tyler Wren, everyone that is joining us and having a great conversation of getting around this course, as well as talking about vehicles, how they're different from one another. Certainly is interesting on the different thoughts on how drivers would attack this course. I know we're seeing the off track, a lot of drivers going off course, and you are able to do so as you're with Mexico City's track not having really a lot of what current iRacing road courses have of off-limit spots where if you go off the racing surface, you will be penalized, not just corner cutting, but taking it too wide, those overextension moments. That doesn't really exist here on Mexico City just yet. I think over time it might get added. I don't know if it will fully be added until later on in a few years, hopefully in a year, or if we ever come back to this track, because I've been enjoying this racing action. It's just, little bits and pieces here where we're seeing those racing moments pop up of small battles, and one of those being for the lead. But we're still waiting for Vincent Sora. Will it be the pitch strategy that can give him the top position, or can he force a mistake on Jake Nichols, who has not really shown any so far here this evening?
Yeah, it's just kind of a waiting game for Vincent Sora. I mean, he gains a little bit of time, then he loses a little bit of time, but he is still in a prime position to strike if Jake Nichols makes any small mistake. So he's in a very good position. Not really what I was expecting to see tonight based on what the qualifying times were. I mean, Jake Nichols, his practice times, his qualifying times were far beyond everybody else. Vincent Sora is keeping this a race for us to watch for the lead and is doing a very good job at maintaining that gap.
He certainly is. Back into pit road, going to be Ben Heaney, I think, because he saw the leaders were catching up to him. Curious if he's actually going to take a stop this time or do another drive-through for himself. It looks like he is heading to pit road this go-around, as you saw on the back of that shot, as the leaders continue to stay in line. Just the waiting game. 18 laps in. Thank you so much for all of the racing action here tonight. Now, when we come back next week, we've got heading to the Rockingham. Going to be the next track on the schedule. 160 laps. Going to be the first time we're seeing this Legacy Gen 4 car be utilized then. And I'm curious on, that's going to be our first true oval, as Indianapolis, the kind of the brick-looking course. You don't really count that as a traditional oval. I think Rockingham going to give us a little bit of a better picture of that, as Thomas Green going to be the first driver to make a pit stop overall. We'll see how the night goes on, as Jake Nichols, Vincent Sora, they wait for their picture and shot of when they're going to hit pit road and maybe join Thomas Green, or will someone else threaten the 31 that's going to be the first to take the undercut?
And Thomas Green, 15 seconds in the box also. That indicates to me that's a 4-tire stop for Thomas Green. He feels like he needs tires for this race, so he's going to take the 4 and make those, he's pit just before the halfway mark. So I don't know if this is an undercut attempt by him or what the idea was behind that, but this could be the only pit stop he has to make if tires really aren't that big of a deal.
Taking an opportunity, taking a gamble. I kind of like it. Why not try something different? And I know for that 31, he's trying to find a way to get by Ollie Fonseca and a couple of other drivers, and might have been the fact of seeing all the hardship of trying to get by the 24. If you can gap him with this undercut pit stop, you might have a chance. Next driver going to hit pit road. Going to be the #1 machine of Gavin Rogers here on lap 19. So our second of the front runners into pit road to get service done. And for Gavin, I think this is a good change-up for himself. Again, had a rough couple of laps to start things off. We'll see how he can try to re-emerge as one of those top guys. As we're going to go back up to the battle for the lead, closest battle on track. And Jake Nichols is under fire from Vincent Sora. And the last couple of corners, been seeing the rear ends. They're kicking out a little bit more. They're slamming on the throttle and trying to accelerate. But it just looks like, Richard, overall, it is tough right now for these drivers. There's so much wear and tear now that you're just losing any type of grip at times when you try to accelerate out of the corner.
Yeah, it does look like these drivers are starting to lose the rear tires pretty heavily, especially trying to get the power down on the exits. As we saw Gavin Rogers, he was in the pit box for 14.6 seconds. So this indicates to me these drivers are definitely going to be taking 4 tires during their pit stop, as Vincent Sora is pitting from second place. He's going to pit before Jake Nichols and get his service done.
I think that's the perfect call for himself. Head into pit road, go with the undercut, try to find an advantage. And now this puts all the pressure on Jake Nichols. He has to retaliate back. You either pit now or you wait a couple of laps and then you pit. But I would sense that if you're Nichols, you're gonna want a perfect lap right now. Make sure you don't lose as much time as you could have, and then pit and hope that Vincent Sora maybe made a mistake somewhere that's going to give you an advantage to try to hold the lead position. You see Brian McCann, he's now heading into pit road. Same for Ali Fonseca. He's making his emergence into pit road. It's the halfway zone, and drivers are making their pit stops as Cedric Hunter drives on by. He'll still need to make a pit stop, as Vincent Sora, when he exits out of pit road, he will be in 6th place. And the big thing for the 15, he was able to stay ahead of majority of the traffic that could have really held him up.
Yeah, that's impressive to look. The one thing I'm going to keep an eye on, though, is the last lap time. Vincent Sora, when he pit, was a 146.121. My question is, what's going to be Jake Nichols' lap time when he goes into the pits? Because what that'll tell me is Jake Nichols decided to push after Vincent Sora went in to try and get as big of a gap as he can on this lap before coming into the pits. We'll have to see if he decides to duck into pit lane here as he's coming around. It's going to be his turn. He takes that right-hand turn down pit lane. We'll have to see what Jake Nichols' time is here to see what the difference is between their come-in lap and between the two of them.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a big thing for all of these drivers. They know they've got to hit their marks perfectly, and you got to make sure for Jake Nichols, I mean, with him coming into pit road now, where is Vincent Sora? Sora currently just getting into the stadium section as Nichols gets into his pit box. It is going to be a race out of pit road. Will Cedric Hunter get out of the way? It looks like the 13 is staying low, trying to get out of the way as quickly as possible. Vincent Sora trying to get ahead of the 73, and it's similar to the ways that we've seen Nichols lose races in the past that came down to pit strategies. Is this the right call to pit later than sooner, because Sora takes the lead and he's pulling away?
Yeah, I think if Jake Nichols wanted to keep the lead there, he needed to push that lap as soon as he saw Vincent Sora duck into the pit lane. But Vincent Sora, he had a 1/10 of a second faster lap that he went into the pits than that of Jake Nichols. Jake Nichols and Vincent Sora both had the exact same time in box as well. So Vincent Sora definitely benefited from his pit decision there, and he has got a hefty lead over Jake Nichols. But John Forbes, Jarrett Talmadge, they're still on track. Currently the leaders, but they will have to pit eventually. And it'll be interesting to see if they decide to just go fuel only or try to do a full service.
And I like the word that you used, hefty little gap that he's got right now, because with the gap that Vincent Sora has on Jake Nichols, that's your competition. It's not the guys ahead of you because they still need to pit. But that driver behind you, you can back off. You don't need to push it as aggressively. You can kind of save your tires a little bit, even though maybe you're trying to, build out the gap. And for Vincent Sora last week, he had an opportunity to win at Indy. He got past with 10 laps to go. A heartbreaking moment, because after those pit stops, Vincent Sora took the lead. He felt like he was going to win at Indy, a track that he loves, but it was not the case. We've come here to Mexico City, a road course, a place where Vincent Sora used to be the dominator at one time back in the past as he sets the fastest lap of the day, a 1 minute 31.553. Vincent Soares trying to set the tone, but it might be a little bit too much. If you're driving that fast, Nichols doesn't have to push as much. He can just watch you burn your tires as he tries to run you down.
Yeah, this is where Vincent Soares got to be a little smart with what he's doing. I mean, putting down the fastest lap of the race, he's utilizing a lot of that tire resource, wearing those tires out a lot more than Jake Nichols. He's got to play a little conservative here. He's still got a pretty nice lead over that of Jake Nichols. He's just got to hit his marks. Make sure his times are just a little faster than Jake Nichols. That's all he's really got to worry about. But I think he's trying to get as big of a gap as he possibly can, so when the tires do wear, he makes it harder for Jake Nichols to get around him. But right now, Vincent Soares, I mean, Jake Nichols is slowly starting to catch on Vincent Soares.
He certainly is, as it was down to a second at one moment, but a little bit of a slip up as we were heading into the stadium section. In the final couple of bends, Vincent Soares' gap going to be 1.5 seconds currently to Jake Nichols. A couple of other battles I'm keeping an eye on. Currently for 5th place is Jared Talmadge, Brian McCann. They're going up against one another as well. Zach Hall and Gavin Rogers in 7th place are having their duels as pit stops are underway for John Forbes. And now officially the lead heads to Vincent Soares, a spot he wants to hold on to, but here's the battling going on for 7th place. Going to be now for 6th place as Forbes falls down the listing. Zach Hall, Gavin Rogers, these two had some classic run-ins at the road courses. And if we look at the history book of all road course stats, the two drivers with the best average finish besides Jake Nichols is Gavin Rogers and Vincent Soares. Rogers with a 3rd place finish, Zach with a 3.5 place finish, and they both know they're going to be quick, but they've got a John Forbes with fresh tires right in front of them.
John Forbes is right in front of him, but John Forbes seems to have been struggling at this track all day so far, as Zach Hall is now looking to make a move, looking to the inside, try to make John Forbes make a mistake, and that's all he's trying to do, just peek around, show his nose to the inside, make John look in his mirror and miss his braking zone. So that's exactly what Hall is trying to do. But these three right here, this is fantastic racing from 3 great drivers, all nose to tail.
Trying to find your ways to get around one another, and for John Forbes, once he gets heat in the tires, I think that's when he's going to feel a little bit more comfortable and try his best to pull away from this grouping. But the battle for 6, Zach Hall, he will find his way to the inside under hard braking. They'll stay side by side, but Hall goes a little bit deep, pushing Forbes wide. Hall will back off. He'll give the space, attempting the crossover move, looking for any type of opening, but the opening could have been given to the one as Rogers watches the dramatic action. And now all he needs to do is just get a good run and maximize on the mistakes.
Zach Hall locked the tires up there, just trying to go in a little hot to get around John Forbes. And Forbes, great race intelligence there, as he either heard it or just had a feeling that Zach Hall missed his braking, because he went really wide and kept Zach from getting into his door. So great heads-up driving from John Forbes. And now these two have got to catch back up to him and try and make a move again.
Trying every little way you can get around, but just not the case just yet. And looking back from the one machine, now looking forward for Gavin Rogers, you can see Zach Hall up front ahead of him, and right now everyone's just settling in the final second half of this race. Rogers trying to find a late apex spot to get a better exit out of turn number 4, now heading into the S's. The bobbing and weaving, the finding ways to cut this course and find an advantage. And a lot of guys said you can cut quite a bit of these spots, especially where those tire towers are. And you can get as close as you want to them, but it comes with the risk. If you make contact, your race is practically over. You're seeing Gavin Rogers, he's trying to maximize it, and the wheeling that's going on as those hands are seesawing every corner, and Hall locks up again.
Hall locks up again, almost opened the door for Gavin Rogers. He had a little bit of momentum there, just not a place to make a move yet. But yeah, it is impressive watching this view. I mean, look at that. He has got to seesaw that wheel back and forth. It almost looks like he's dirt tracking around some of these turns. As much as that rear end wants to step out, he's got a counter steer to keep that car going straight. So this is a great view to see what these drivers have to deal with when driving around this track.
Everyone just searching for that great speed as Larry England will be the last driver to hit pit road, and he will finally get his service done. So everyone's made their one stop. It's now about taking it to the end and making sure you still have a vehicle underneath you to the end of this race. And speaking about underneath, now under a second, Jake Nichols closing the gap to Vincent Sora, as Vincent Sora is now got to be thinking, what just happened to my lead? It's now less than almost a half a second as Ben Kinney will go wide, getting out of the way. And watching watching Jake Nichols trying to push through all this madness, it's been something kind of amazing to watch. Of all the times that Jake Nichols has found a way to get the win, it's traditionally this season where he follows his competition for the first half, and then the final pit stop or the second to last pit stop, he'll make the pass and hold that lead. It's when he shows dominance early on, it's that later pit stop that can kind of curse him and hurt him at the end of the day. We're seeing it once again here tonight.
Yeah, that pit stop decision. Now, granted, I think he was like, you can't really predict when the guy behind you is going to go in. So it's just Vincent Sora taking advantage, seeing that Jake Nichols, hadn't gone in yet, got to undercut, he made it work on the pit road strategy idea, got out in front of him, and now he's able to control this. So we'll have to see what Jake Nichols can do, because we haven't seen him have to make a true pass yet since they started side by side. So we'll have to see what Jake Nichols can do when he catches up to Vincent Sora and what kind of moves he's going to show to try to get Vinny to make a mistake.
As Vincent Sora continues on trying to stay ahead. Vincent Sora, look at the history of winning. The 15 has the most wins out of anyone in the WSSR Cup Series. If you look at the history, a total of 26 wins overall that he's grabbed over his 100 races started. Last week was his 100th start in this series. And here tonight could be win number 27. And also, if he wins at this road course, would put him tied with Zach Hall, Gavin Rogers, with the most road course wins. It's both Zach Hall and Rogers both have 4 wins in total at road courses. Vincent Sora only with 3. And Nichols, he already has 1 from earlier this season. He would love to get a second one if possible. And his 6th win of the season is the 73. A lot of victories are happening with these front 2.
Yeah, a lot of big win opportunities for the record books for these guys. The race is between these two for the win. They are 17 seconds over the third place car of Jarrett Talmadge. So these two have just been putting on the show. Vincent Sora has definitely figured something out here in Mexico City to be able to get in front of Jake Nichols. And he did it through pit strategy, but he still had to catch up to Jake for about halfway. Vincent Sora locked up in this horseshoe turn, and that puts Jake Nichols right on his bumper.
Right there with an opportunity, trying to capitalize as he's now still 3/10 back through the S's. This has been the zone where Vincent Sora has been the stronger of the 2 drivers. Can he continue with the strength, or did that one lockup give the opportunity as Nichols trying to cut the distance, keeping it close, now down into turn number 11, heartbreaking zone. And Nichols has been much better in the stadium spot. This is where he's gained a lot of time and closing the gap ever so slightly. Vincent Sora's got to be careful heading over the rumble strips. Every little contact, the steering wheel in your hands is just shattering, trying to rip away. And it's Vincent Sora, 3/10. He needs a good exit out of the corner, but Nichols is keeping it close. But watching the time, it's building away. Sora survives that run at least.
Sora has an extremely good second half of the track each and every lap. This is where his gaps keep getting bigger and bigger. It almost seems like Vincent Sora can get the power down smoother and quicker than it does Jake Nichols, because a few times I've seen Jake Nichols try to get the power down and his back end steps out way more, and Vincent Sora just looks nice and smooth. But this race is far from over. Jake Nichols, just knowing what he's done all season, he's going to figure out what he can do to get up to and past Vincent Sora. As you see, he's right there again, right on the bumper of the 15.
Trying to find an opening. How do you get by as we now start the S's through 5 all the way to turn 10? Is this portion of the racetrack as drivers go back and forth searching for the speed. How can you cut the corner a little bit more? How much more are you risking to get close to the towers as Sora's willing to go wide? Nichols is trying to keep it neat and tidy on the inside. And I think the reason why Nichols is trying to save his tires, he's not trying to go overbearing and swing it as wide as you can and maybe maximize your speed because it's going to hurt your tires in the long run. Nichols is just trying to keep it neat and tidy as Sora just looks like he's frantically trying everything to stay out of this 73.
Yeah, Sora doing everything he possibly can to stay in front of the 73 machine. And for those moments where Vincent Sora is driving wide, I had noticed, just this past lap, Vincent Sora might be swinging wide and getting the speed in those turns, but he's doing it smoothly. In that one moment, that of Jake Nichols, again, he got a little bit of a wiggle in order to get that car to dive to the left side of the track to take that neat and tidy path. So Vincent Sora, I mean, he might seem like he's driving these tires to the ragged end, but he's doing it smooth, so it's not really wearing what we think might be wearing those tires as much as we think.
As Sora now up to a half a second, going to be the gap between himself. Update for some of the drivers further on back. Ben Keeney hit with a drive-through penalty, too many incident points. Again, if you've got 15 incident points or more, you are forced to do a drive-through every 15 incident points. So for the 98, he'll have to get that served. Everyone else still out on track. And I'm looking at the times of some of the drivers that are further on back, around that 15th, 14th, and 13th position. Got a cluster of 3 drivers that are being ran down by our top 2. Another lockup by Sora, going wide. Just doing everything to keep this speed rolling, but we got 3 drivers that could be caught by our leaders at the end stages of this race, and that could be playing a factor of who can win or not based on if the lap cars get out of the way or if they stay running on track.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Ben Keeney. He did, really the right thing to do, where Ben Keeney just kind of got out of the way and let the leaders just drive on by. We'll have to see what the other drivers decide to do when they catch them, but that could be a major determining factor of whether or not, who can get through the traffic a lot quicker and smoother, and if that allows a pick opportunity for Jake Nichols to get around Vincent Sora. But they still got about 10 seconds or so before they even catch those lap cars, but when they do, I mean, it could be a complete change of the lead.
It certainly could be. I know out on chat, there's been a lot of asking, what are the lap times? How are they looking? Well, here's a little bit of a breakdown of how the lap times looked on the first 10 laps of this race. Our top 2 were running 1 minute 32 second lap times. They never got into the 1 minute 31 tier ever. They never put down these extreme fast laps like we saw in this run. And they hit the 133 marker at lap 10 or 11. These top 2 drivers, it just took them 5 laps, and they have been both stably in the 1 minute 33 part of this times. So both are pushing their tires to the limit to just hold this position, and we're trying to maximize, and I think now both are just in survival mode based on the fact of how quickly those times fell off compared to the first 10 laps of this race.
Yeah, the tires have definitely fallen off a lot quicker than they did the first run. So pretty much the entire field's pretty much in the survival mode when it comes to the tires. But, I mean, Vincent Sora still, like I said, like you see here, that last turn coming down to the front stretch, he just gets such a better run out of the exit and is just able to put some space between him and Jake Nichols. So he's doing something right in that last turn that Jake Nichols just cannot challenge.
It's just a couple of hundredths there, a couple hundredths there, and it's the small little details, and that's why we're keeping as close as we are, and it continues to keep as you see the lap car getting bigger in the front windshield of our top 2. And I'm curious on what the communication is going to be like for a leader's 2-lap traffic, as it's 10 laps to go here tonight. Ben Keeney has officially called it an evening. And we have seen a lot of great moments, some low moments so far this season. And if you want to capture some of your high moments and low moments throughout life, or maybe in fantasy sports, or even in iRacing, head on over to TrophySmack.com. Trophy Smack, where you can find yourself with championship rings, belts, trophies, and more. One of their main products that they're trying to serve out is the Wall Smack. Wall Smack's a metal plate that you can put on their wall safe mounting system, or you can also have it on a stand to place it on your shelf or desk. Head on over to trophysmack.com, and when purchasing your Wall Smack, remember to use the promo code WSSR for 10% off on all Wall Smack purchases. Thank you so much to Trophy Smack for being a longtime sponsor of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. Another lap down, and that go around, it was about 6/10 the difference between Vincent Sora and Jake Nichols. An advantage Sora as they continue to see the 10 get bigger. Looking at some of the other drivers of note in the middle of the field, John Forbes up 5 positions from where he started in 4th place. Brian McCann up 1 spot from where he started. Gavin Rogers, after his early spill, after qualifying 4th, fell outside of the top 10. He's climbed up to 7th, as still 3 laps off of his qualifying position. Ali Fonseca, he was able to stay ahead of Thomas Green, the 24, currently in 8th place. Cedric Hunter in 9th. Thomas Green has fallen to 10th. And also Douglas Newbegin in 11th. All 4 of those drivers are up in position, as Larry Yingling, Chris Stitz, Ryan Kelly, as well as Jan Van Leer have all lost positions from where they qualified. And that's your top 15 rundown, as Jarrett Talmadge, John Forbes, they just continue to stay in 3rd and 4th. Really no one around them. The closest battles happening on track. The battle for 1st, as Jan Van Leer going to be just staying to the outside. He gets out of the way quickly, and you'll love to see that from lap traffic. Not trying to influence this race at all. The other close battles for 6th place, that's Zach Hall and Gavin Rogers. And then the battling going on for 13th, which that might not be as easy as the past. Getting by the 10. That will be our next grouping of lap cars. Ryan Kelly, Chris Stitz. They're being caught by our leaders, but we'll see if our leaders catch them in time with 8 laps to go.
Yeah, it was a great move by Jan Van Leer. Got out of the way, not to manipulate, or not manipulate, but affect the race of this week. Gavin Rogers loses it in the stadium section, trying to catch Zach Hall. That is a rare mistake you see from Rogers. Unfortunate to see for our defending champion.
He locked up the brakes, went over the rumble strips, and it just unsettled the machine completely, spinning him around. A little bit of a burnout, and now for Gavin Rogers, got to be careful, because for Gavin Rogers, he's lost the time. Ali Fonseca trying to capitalize, the 24, trying to rally forward to maybe grab one more spot before this race is over, as now all gaps have kind of spaced out to over the second or more. Most of the differences are 2 seconds. The only ones that are within a second, the battling for 13th, and then obviously for the lead. The lead is the closest battle right now, and that's Jake Nichols, Vincent Sora. Last lap, it was just 0.06 difference, and once again, it's Vincent Sora with the slight advantage right now.
Yeah, Vincent Sora again, through this stadium section, he's got it figured out. I mean, one thing you see right here, like Jake Nichols, he does get the little bit of tire spin almost every single time coming out of that final turn. It just kind of fishtails the car just ever so slightly. That loses just a little bit of speed for this long run down this straightaway. Forbes is just very smooth, very precise with it, and is able to get the power down quicker and more stable than that of Nichols.
And that wheel spin action is kind of the reason why we moved to this legacy vehicle that is no longer kind of put on the official schedule for iRacing when you're trying to get official points. This legacy car is something that, like we've noted on before, was a mistake that iRacing put in, but is a lot more power underneath this thing. It just feels like the throttle input's a little bit more torquey and aggressive compared to the official Gen 4 car that iRacing released. And that change-up has just made, with last week's change of moving to a different vehicle, has given us this product. Drivers are just wheeling it off the exit of the corner.
Yeah, they're definitely having to put a lot more throttle control and steering input to be able to keep this car under control. So I think for the drivers, this was definitely a breath of fresh air compared to what the new Gen 4 style car is in iRacing. And it's just, this car has just been a better product for these drivers, and they are showcasing it tonight.
And If you're looking for a great product as well for yourself, you're wanting one-of-a-kind pieces, or if you're looking for iRacing products to help you get better out on track, head on over to Sim Precision Prints, where you can go find yourself a go-to source for custom 3D printed sim gear and one-of-a-kind built pieces with passion and precision. Head on over to Sim Precision Prints at simprecisionprints.shop. Remember to use the promo code WSSR at checkouts for 10% off on all purchases $50 or more. Thank you so much to Sim Precision Prints, our white flag sponsor, as 6 laps to go. It's 5.5 right now. Sora looks good, but it's the lap traffic that I'm mostly concerned about. How are we going to see the Cody Glencock's music drivers? Do they want to race each other? Are they both going to just get out of the way? And you've seen a couple of puffs of smoke. Vincent Sora locking up, and the little bit of a gap he was building has just got thrown away again.
Oh man, the gap is just being closed. A minor mistake for Vincent Sora has closed that gap for Jake Nichols. Now Nichols again right on the bumper of the 15, but the 15 able to get a little bit of a gap again. Takes those turns almost as perfect as you can, and he's able to stretch that lead a little bit further.
At least the gap's big enough to where Nichols can attempt to pass, but the tires, it is the conversation of the evening, and it continues to waver on who's got the better set. It's been Vincent Sora the last few laps with the advantage, but with the big slip up, the falling away, we're expecting Sora not to have the advantage this go around. As into pit road is Ryan Kelly. He will not stay on track. He will head into pit road and get out of the way for our leaders, leaving Chris Stitz, who's expected to probably do the same thing next go around. As the 17 stays out, Sora's gap builds out, and that last go around, it was a 0.3 difference advantage Jake Nichols just from that one lockup.
Yeah, one lockup costs a lot of time for the driver, and Chris Stitz just out to the grass. Let these two drive on by. Do not affect the race for the lead here. Great move from Chris Stitz to be heads up about that, knowing these guys were going to catch him. So again, another lap driver getting out of the way, letting these two put on a show, and they are definitely doing that. I mean, Jake Nichols, he is doing everything he can. He's really just, I mean, at this moment, still just kind of waiting for Vincent Sora to make another mistake, but he's got to pounce and make a move when that mistake comes.
And that mistake, I mean, how many more can you be given? I mean, Vincent Sora, I mean, that has been kind of the quote of the season for himself. He needs a perfect race. Well, it hasn't been perfect here tonight. There's been minor mistakes here and there. Can the 15 figure it out for 4.5 more laps, or will something fall apart? There's been so many heartbreaking moments in the career of this 15. He's got so many wins, but at the same notion, he probably has double the amount of heartbreak losses that have happened, and every win so sweet. And the first one of season 12 could be lingering for Vincent Sora, but Nichols, he has to find a little bit of a better exit out of turn 15, and that was a much better run for himself, but it just wasn't good enough to compare to Vincent Sora. You gotta go a little bit wider to the outside, and I think that's the one thing that's hurting Nichols. He's not letting the car drift out. He's trying to hold it too close to the inside off the exit of that final corner.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that's going to help Nichols is to get to the inside or the outside of Vincent Sora when going through the stadium section. That will help put Vincent Sora off his comfort zone, but Jake Nichols, a huge wiggle there as he got up over the curb. He's going to lose some ground again to the 15 machine. That's exactly what Vincent Sora wants to see, is the small mistakes from Jake Nichols preventing him from catching up.
But it's down into turn 4. This has been a troublesome spot for Vincent Sora. The big lockup moments have been in that section, and because he's been locking up so much, he kind of gingerly goes into that corner, which automatically is giving up a 10th to Nichols. That last lap was 1/10. This go around, I mean, he's already lost 2/10. Nichols is right on the bumper, and with the way this 73 is running, he might have an attempt if he can find an opening to get to the inside quarter panel. He can't. We head into turn 11. Here's that stadium section where you talked about have to find a way to get to the inside of the 15. Not going to be this lap. Continues to stay in line. But Sora's got to be careful. Those rumble strips, we saw it already bite Gavin Rogers. Our leaders aren't safe just yet as they go wide. Sora almost hitting the wall, and it's Nichols who tries to find a way to ramp up and have the speed to keep up with Vincent Sora across the line. Nichols, he's a 10th faster again. We're seeing the swing, and it's the 73 with the advantage right on the back bumper of Sora.
He is right there. He is making his moves, trying to get little by little closer and closer to the 15. And he is right on the bumper through these 1, 2, 3 section. But oh, they get so close to that tire barrier. It is really scary to watch that, but they do not touch it. That is using every inch you possibly can of this track to get as much as you can. But Vincent Sora, a little bit better section there as they go into this horseshoe. And Jake Nichols, this is where he catches up a little bit, but Vincent Sora just looks like he can get the power down a lot better than that of Nichols coming out of the turns.
I think what also helps Sora is the fact that he's the lead car. He's got the clear vision of seeing where the tire barrels are, so he knows how close he can get, while Nichols, he's bracing every entry on. He has to go a little bit wider on one way or the other, but here's one of the best chances he's had. He's now within 2/10 to Sora. Sora's got to have a good braking zone here into turn number 11 into the stadium. Nichols trying to go wide to get to the outside of the 15. Keep Sora wide, but Nichols just too far out. He'll lose an opportunity there, and a major loss of time overall.
Quite a bit of loss of time there. He just wasn't able to keep the speed on the outside. And Vincent Sora, again, another fantastic launch off that final turn down this straightaway. And, I mean, Nichols is doing everything he can. Vincent Sora had a little bit of a slip up going into the stadium section right before it. So that was able to get Nichols just a little bit closer. But that gap, again, back to 0.6 of a second, but quickly closed in this braking zone.
Quickly closing away and trying to find every little bit of speed as Vincent Sora trying to hold steady. Nichols finally was showing the strength. Was he going to find the speed to win? I know that little bit of a hiccup, so costly overall. But Vincent Sora once again turn 4. Just you see Nichols so much more aggressive on the brakes, able to close the gap, but the exits where he loses so much time. And now through the sweeping section, Nichols needs a good stadium. He needs to keep it close. It's down to 4/10. Sora, you've got yourself a lap and a half to go to get back into victory lane. Nichols, on the other hand, he can sense another victory is looming, but how much are you willing to risk as we head into turn number 11? Here's the stadium. We've seen Nichols show points of advantage. Sora, though, neat and tidy, hits the rumble strips, hits the turtle, and around the final bend, we look up to the flag stand. It is going to be your Sim Precision Prince white flag for Vincent Sora. Last lap, it was a 0.3 advantage for Sora. This go around, it's just a 0.02 of a second advantage to Nichols. Here we go, Richard, down into turn number 1. It's a half a second difference. Does Nichols have a lap of his life, or does Sora just survive here at the end?
Right now, Sora just has to run his race. He doesn't need to realize that it's the last lap. Just drive how you've been driving every other single lap. The other 39 laps, drive that way. Jake Nichols, on the other hand, he has to drive with everything underneath him. He's got to make the moves. He's got to find some speed. He's the one that has to push. Vincent Sora does not. He just has to play the defensive lines, but Jake Nichols doing everything he can, trying to catch. This is the parts where Jake Nichols typically catches. He's got to get closer before the stadium section, or this race is pretty much Vincent Sora's unless he makes a mistake.
He's now going to be bouncing back and forth 0.4 to a half a second, over a half a second that go around, and every little bit. Sora gets it up, big wiggle. This is the closest it's been in the past 2 laps. Down into turn number 11, almost contact. It's going to be right on the back bumper. Vincent Sora, all the pressure is there. You have to hit the marks. Almost contact. Nichols right on the back bumper as they head out the exit of the stadium. Sora needs a good launch. Nichols trying to get to the corner panel, but Nichols won't make it. Vincent Sora, his first win of season 12 is here at Mexico City. Welcome back to victory lane. Vincent Sora wins here tonight.
Vincent Sora can take a breath of fresh air as he has finally bested Jake Nichols here in Mexico City. A fantastic race between these two.
A fantastic one indeed. A classic, you could say. A toss of a coin on who was going to be there, and it came down to minimizing the mistakes and perfect pit stops at the end as drivers are racing around one another. It's Brian McCann, Zach Hall. They're going to be coming around 6th as battle for 7th. Gavin Rogers, his mistakes, his throwaways. Well, Holly Fonseca throws it away right in the outside wall, and Rogers will survive for 7th. Holly Fonseca will take away an 8th place finish for himself. Everyone else just trying to find a way into pit road as everyone else finishes this evening. Thomas Green will take 10th. Larry Yingling and go from 11th on back, just crossing the line. But it's Vincent Sora in the 15 redemption. He feels like after last week at Indianapolis, where he felt like maybe he should have won that race, wasn't the case. But here tonight, it's the 15 heading to victory lane. Congratulations to Sora as he gets his 27th career win, his 4th road course win, which ties him with 4 wins of all the road courses ran in the WSSR with Zach Hall, Gavin Rogers, and now Vincent Sora. All 3 of those drivers have have 4 wins apiece as they continue, all drivers going by, heading to pit road, giving some congratulational revs by, maybe some contacts. But Richard, what a race. 40 laps at Mexico City. I mean, the way that ran, I think we got to come back to this track sometime in the future.
I agree. This was extremely awesome to watch between, pretty much everybody that was racing for any positions. I mean, we had great racing between the 31 machine of Thomas Green and Ollie Fonseca. I mean, the two drivers of Vincent Sora, Jake Nichols, they put on a show for the lead. They never really got further than a second and a half apart from each other, and that gap closed pretty quick between both of them. I mean, the stadium section itself is like as slow speed it is. That's fun to watch the drivers get as close as they can, even side by side through that section. But again, congratulations to Vincent Sora, able to get his first win of the season, and just impressive performance and a smart strategy move to pit when he did.
Yeah, I think it's a monkey off his back that he can finally start looking forward to the chase and say, hey, I have gotten the win at a road course. I've looked good at the ovals. Now the championship, there is a chance with changing up the car. A lot of drivers feel like they now have a chance to fight for this thing, and it's going to be a fun one to watch. But for us up at the booth, we are going to step away. When we come back, we're going to talk to our top 3, Vincent Sora, Jake Nichols, Jared Talmadge, get their thoughts on tonight's race. We'll prep you for Rockingham next week, and we'll call it an evening, but we will see you on the other side for the post-race show here from Mexico City. Well, thanks for holding on. We are back for the post-race show. We have our top 3 ready for interviews. Let's head down to victory lane to talk to the driver that has been hunting and hounding for this win. We thought maybe it was going to happen last week at Indy. Heartbreakingly lost that one, but tonight had to fight and claw for the victory this evening at Mexico City. Vincent Sora, you are back into victory lane. Congratulations on this one. That was a fun one to watch. How are you feeling, though, after that grueler here at Mexico City?
Man, I feel awesome. That's, probably the hardest I've ever fought for a win on here. Jake is just so good, and he's been so dominant over here. I've wanted to win so bad, and I've just come up short so many times this season. If you look at Sim Racer Hub, it's just second, third, just every week. And Jake's been racking off these wins, but tonight, I don't know, I felt good about it. Coming into the race, I was kind of excited for it, and he had really blistering short run speed, and especially quali pace. I was happy to even be just a couple tenths off of him on my quali lap, but early on in the race, he kind of started to flex his muscle there with the short run speed, and he got about a 2-second lead, and I was just trying to manage my tires, and then I started trying to kind of reel him back in, and I noticed that the time was coming down, and it gave me some confidence. And then I got there, and him and I were talking, and we both agreed that it just seems like there's a little bit of dirty air in this car, just enough where it's a little bit harder to put the power down when you're the guy following. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to get the pass done without a mistake, so I had to undercut him, and I went a little bit early, and I was nervous. I didn't know if that was going to work out for me or not, but I figured with him matching the next lap like he had to do, that it was going to even out with the undercut, and the time that he had to gain would burn up just enough of his tires to where we were about even. But yeah, it was an awesome battle. I'm sure it was a super fun one to watch for you guys and everybody at home watching the broadcast, and I'm just so happy to finally get it done. It's been a long time.
Yeah, Vinny, finally able to get your first win of the season here in Mexico City, putting on a clinic, basically, especially with the thought of pitting or undercutting the pit to try and make the outlap a lot better to get around Jake Nichols. It did seem like that was the way to get a pass and done. But with that monkey off your back, I mean, how are you looking for the rest of the season before the playoffs kick off?
I mean, I'm excited. I think this format definitely opens up the possibility for somebody to go in and just have a really good chase and still come out of here with the title. So I think I've got like 4 or 5 more wins to catch up to Jake still. So that's going to be tough to do, but I've got a lot of really good tracks coming up for me, and hopefully with another run like tonight. And I mean, even one last week, I had a really, really strong run at my home track. And something about me, didn't get to run this car when these guys did a few years ago. So to already feel this confident in it is really good for me, and hopefully I've got some pretty big races to come.
You know, Vinny, we were looking, I was looking at the stats coming into this race. It was kind of crazy. Last week was your 100th start in the WSSR Cup Series, tonight being 101. But this win now makes you tied. Crazy to say, you know, you're leading most categories in stats in this league, but you are now tied with the most wins in a road course. Now Zach Hall, Gavin Rogers, everyone having now 4 wins apiece at road courses. How does that make you feel, knowing that you're now back tied with that company of road course winners?
That feels really good. I mean, I remember when I started on the sim, the road courses were something that I worked really hard on, because there was a guy named Tom Sinchek, and he dusted me in an old league way back when, and it really just, I don't know, it lit a fire under me, and I really wanted to get better at it, and I put so much time into it, especially in these big heavy stock cars. It's such an art to be able to have a lot of speed on these tracks, and yeah, that's really awesome to be tied with a group of guys like that. That's pretty special. Hopefully I can beat them on the next one.
We're hoping that for you, Vinny. Well, before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, first off, just big thanks for you guys being here this week. Thoughts and prayers to Robert and his family. I know it's been a difficult past couple months, and last week especially. So think about you, Robert, and your entire family. Shout out to Jake for racing me super clean there. That was an awesome battle. Like I said, I'm super excited to go back and watch it. Shout out to all the guys who came out tonight. This isn't a traditional track for us, and it was one that everyone had to buy. So shout out to you guys for showing up. And then all of our sponsors to make it possible.
Well, that will be the 15 machine of Vincent Sora coming away with a win here at Mexico City. Congratulations, Vinny. Enjoy this one, and good luck next week at Rockingham.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too, as we head now down to second place to talk to Jake Nichols. And usually it's in victory lane, but tonight it's in second. Jake, it feels like the league might have tried to nerf you in a way. They've switched the vehicles to this legacy Gen 4 machine. Last week you didn't get the win at Indy. Here tonight you look like one of the fastest cars. You and Vinny put on such a show for us, but how are you feeling coming away second here tonight?
Pretty good. It's just kind of, I mean, last week was kind of tire like lottery a little bit, where we were trying not to use our last set at the wrong time essentially. So I'm gonna bring up the idea of adding a tire set from now on, just because we do have a lower fuel tank in this car. But either way, it was a fun race. I felt like our pace was really good. I just kind of messed up the first run. I was being a little too conservative, trying not to use the rears, that I kind of used the fronts too much. And I felt like if I drove the same way as I did the second run in the first, I think I would have put a little bit of a gap, probably not much. It would have been like right there still, but it's just so hard to build a run. There's only a few passing spots really here, so you have to really rely on getting the power down. But I think there's just an ounce of dirty air that's kind of, hurting that. I noticed that with Vincent there too. In the first run, certain sections he just couldn't get the power down and couldn't make up any ground. And I wasn't gonna wreck him. I mean, I would race him hard. I wanted to try to get him to overdrive, but I wasn't gonna do anything dumb. It's not worth it. We had a great battle, so why ruin it just being, weird about it,
Yeah, Jake, that was a fantastic performance by you two. It was a great show to watch from up here in the booth as well. I mean, when it came down to the pit stop decision on when you were going to do it, did you expect Vincent Soar to undercut you there and then get around you during the pit cycle?
Yeah, I kind of wanted him to, knowing there wasn't as much dirty air as the old car. I felt like pace-wise, the old car or the other Gen 4 car, it was better to be on the long strat in terms of tires. So I kind of wanted him to do it. I didn't actually expect him to do it before halfway. I expected maybe lap 21 or so. But I guess he did want the jump, and I could have waited one more lap. Probably would have been better since my pace was better the second run, I felt like. But I wasn't really worried about it. I knew he would do it. I didn't want to put myself in a box and pit too early, and then he just have the fresher tires the rest of the race and be on defense. I'd rather be on offense in that scenario 10 times out of 10.
Well, Jake, looking at throughout this race, I know during practice a lot of guys were trying to study your fastest laps on how to get faster. We saw a lot of you trying to maximize this course in small different ways. What was it like trying to take this car and this track that's brand new to iRacing and trying to find the limits to find the maximum speed that you had?
Well, I ran some laps in the next gen here with Seth Knoll, and I just watched his laps. I mean, he ran a lot of laps here, so I could kind of study a little bit what he was doing. And this car is a little different than that. There's some sections where in that car you just go way wide, but it kind of offsets the car a little bit in the wrong way in this. So you want to do it, but not as much. So you're kind of just going 50-50. But it was really fun trying to figure it out. And I wish I would have changed a little bit how I drove the first run through the S's. That was really where I ran second gear, just trying to be conservative, and the second run I mainly ran just first gear through there, and it felt really good. So that's really the only thing I would have changed. But overall, it was fun. It was a good track. It was definitely worth it in terms of the purchase and running it, even though it's only going to be like my one race here. But overall, I kind of like it. It's kind of a good style, to be honest.
I can say from an outside perspective, that was a blast to watch. You certainly gave us a great show between yourself and Vincent Sora. Thank you so much for it. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Well, thanks to everyone at Lucky Ducks Motorsports. Wish we could have won, but it's fine. We're coming up to the chase anyways. Things are going to get reset, and we got to be on our A game. And obviously, we got Stand Up to Cancer and No Kid Hungry, JWR Race Cars, among many others on our car, Caudal Chassis. So many partners, and we want to win races, but we want to be consistent too. That's really what's going to count here once we do get into the chase in a few weeks. But hopefully we can rack up some wins too. We'll see how it goes, and I got a lot of good tracks in the chase, so it's going to be a fun ride.
Oh, we are excited for it. Jake, congratulations on second here tonight. Enjoy it, and can't wait to see how you perform next week at Rockingham.
Thank you.
As that will be the 73 of Jake Nichols, we head to third place. We get to talk to the 27, who honestly here tonight, we showed a couple of times, but there was so much racing action and battling. He was kind of left in no man's land. We have Jarrett Talmadge with us. Jarrett, third place. You qualified third. You ran there. You did your job. How are you feeling coming away with third here this evening?
I'm feeling pretty good to get third on a road course. I don't really go well on road courses and stock cars so often. So to come away with a third here is pretty exciting. But man, was it a boring race?
Yeah, when a road course gets stretched out like that, you kind of got no one around you. It kind of makes sense. It'd feel very boring. Third place, a fantastic finish for you still. And like you said, do a lot of road course racing in the stock cars, and especially with a new track that just hit the service not too long ago. But how are you feeling with this change up to the Legacy Gen 4 from what iRacing's new version is?
Oh man, I love it. It's so much more enjoyable to race. You can actually race people. It's much more enjoyable to drive too. So I think it was a great decision to switch to it, and I'm sure the rest of the season is going to be good too.
We're excited to see how the rest of the season goes on as well, Jared. We've got Rockingham, Talladega, the next two on the list. Have you ran it all with this car at Rockingham, or are you going in blind heading into the next week?
Oh, absolutely not. I bought Mexico like 2 minutes after the session went up, so Absolutely not. We will not be running anything for Rockingham. We'll be going in blind and get in there and practice, drive the car, and see how it goes from there.
Well, we're excited to see how it works out for yourself. Jarrett, congratulations again on third here tonight. I know it was boring for you. Hopefully you enjoy going back. It's going to be even trickier coming off the exits of these corners at Rockingham, where it's already going to be a handful just with how narrow it feels at times. Curious on how we have over 20 drivers out on track. How well can they hold on? But before we call it an evening, any final thoughts, Richard, from your point of view, and any thoughts heading into Rockingham?
No, I mean, again, fantastic drive by all the drivers tonight in Mexico City. It was a great race to watch. There was battles, I mean, for the most part, throughout the field. I mean, definitely going to have to be a race we return to. But Rockingham, again, a very iconic track in the NASCAR circuit. Kind of made its return a little bit last season IRL. Glad we have it here in iRacing, though. A very rough, bumpy service, a very unique design as well. Kind of a short track, but also a lot of speed with some high banks. So we'll have to see what these guys can do. It's typically a very loose track, and then you're throwing in a car that's also very loose within itself with all the torque and power. So we'll have to see what drivers can control that car around it. It should be a really exciting race.
It certainly should be. But for us here tonight, thank you so much to everyone that was hanging out here on your Wednesday night. I know chat was very active with conversations about the race, conversations not about the race, but we appreciate all those that were here listening in to the 10th race of the season here for the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs from Mexico City Grand Prix. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Richard Wolsifer, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here from Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for spending your time with us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, giving you the coverage again of WSSR Cup Series action. It was a pleasure to show off Mexico City, one of the newest road courses added to iRacing. We changed up the car. We are now stuck with this Legacy Gen 4 for the rest of the season. And within 2 races from last week at Indy, here at Mexico City, This was the right decision because the racing action is ramped up. There's passes that can be made, there's strategies that are on the line, and everyone cannot wait for when we get to traditional ovals, which is where we're heading to next week. But for tonight, congratulations to Vincent Sora for being the 6th different winner this season out of 10 races. Can he get a second win? Can we see someone else get into victory lane, or will Jake Nichols get his 6th win of the season? All will be answered as we head to Rockingham next week. It's The Rock, our next Freaky Fast broadcast.